Everybody put your hands up, put your hands up. What, for the love of what? Entertainment, Charlie's Angels, H-Class, Lil It, what, I don't know if it's...
What up guys, it's your boy Ali, and welcome to Hip Hop Forever. Now in 2002, Murder Inc. was in a very good place. Ashanti released her debut album. It came in at #1 on the Billboard 200 and sold 503,000 copies in the first week. Ja Rule also released an album that year, and so did Irv Gotti. During this time, Murder Inc. was a force to be reckoned with. Not only were they releasing hot albums, but they were signing hot artists. And one of them was Tiffany Lane, also known as Charli Baltimore. Before Charli signed to Murder Inc., she had a relationship with Biggie.
Press and a lot of people got caught up in the whole Biggie thing and the whole fact that I used to mess with Big.
She met him at one of his concerts in her hometown of Philadelphia in 1995. Charli asked Big for a picture after the show. Biggie complied. Then the pair spent the next hour taking pictures and talking. I met Big at a show. I wanted a picture of him and he wanted a picture of me. We were out there taking pictures of each other. After their first encounter, Charli's relationship with Big began to blossom, and they began what turned into a 2-year relationship. At the time, Charli was content with being Big's girl. She played that position very well, however she had desires of her own that she needed to fulfill. One day, Charli called Big's phone and left one of her raps on his voicemail. Immediately, Big was impressed with Charli's style, and without hesitating, he called her back and told her not to stop pursuing her dream to be a rapper. I called his beeper one day and did a rap on his voicemail. He called me right back and said, "Did you write that? It's kinda cool. You should keep writing." After that moment, Big started taking Charli as a rapper more seriously. He introduced her to record label owner Lance Rivera, and not before long, she got signed to his label. In 1995, Charli officially entered the music industry when she played the role of Faith Evans, Biggie's then wife, in Junior Mafia's Get Money video. According to the legend, Big wanted Faith to play a role in the Get Money video. However, Faith declined the role because she didn't want to be associated with Big. Now, Big wasn't too happy with this move, and in an act of revenge, he got Charli Baltimore to play the role of Faith Evans in the Get Money video. Evidently, Charli didn't know that she was being used as a pawn, nor did she know that her issues with Lil Kim were going to last for years. Charli's career took a hit after Biggie died. Charli, Biggie, Puff and Jay were planning to form a rap trio called The Commission. However, unfortunately, the group wasn't able to materialize because of Big's passing. It was a while before I was sitting there writing rhymes, and he was critiquing me. We were in the works to start a group called The Commission, with myself, him, Puff, and Jay-Z. But we were not able to have anything come from that because of Big's death. Under her label deal, Charli was supposed to release an album called Cold as Ice. However, the album suffered multiple delays and was never released for sale. After the death of Big, Charli's career trajectory did not come to a halt. She was able to model and drop music as she pleased. In fact, in 1998, she released her first music video for the hit Money. She also has another popular song called Stand Up, featuring Ghostface Killer, which came out in 1999.
Yo, Tony, what up? Heard you was good.
You should know, yo, I f***ed you on the side of my hood.
Around this time, Charli and Jay-Z stirred up a little bit of controversy. Rumor has it, Jay stabbed Rivera over Charli Baltimore. This incident almost put Jay-Z in jail for 15 years. However, because of an altered plea deal, Jay-Z got 3 years probation.
This is gonna sound crazy, but I believe that helped me. You know what I'm saying? Because that put the brakes on everything. That let me know that no matter how successful you are and how much you're on your road, it can all stop.
According to Cameron, Jay-Z liked Charli Baltimore at one point. Rivera knew this and didn't want Jay-Z to have an influence over his artist, especially considering Charli was once Big's girl.
This was all over Charli Baltimore, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, I forgot.
Jay liked Charli at one time, you know what I'm saying? And that was a big girl, you know?
Drama aside, in 2002, Charli Baltimore signed to Murder Inc. She appeared on several of the label's projects, and for a moment in time, it looked like Charli would finally release an album. As we all got to find out, she did not. So the question is, what happened to Charli Baltimore?
So what's up with the album? When we gonna hear from you, bro?
The album will be out at the end of this year, definitely. And 9 times out of 10, it will be with Murder Inc.
According to Charli, Irv wasn't ready for Murder Inc. to blow up so fast. He managed a lot of artists, and he didn't know how to manage everybody's career at the same time. I think Irv just got distracted by all of the stuff that was going on with Murder Inc. All the fame that happened with Murder Inc. happened so fast. Ja Rule was popping, but I don't think Irv was prepared for everybody else to pop the way they did. I think that's what distracted Irv from what he should have been focused on.
I don't think that Irv was absolutely prepared for everything that came with that much success.
Irv was losing focus. Some of his artists weren't entirely happy with the way he was handling their business. However, despite his shortcomings, Irv was still able to push two artists to the forefront of the label, namely Ashanti and Ja Rule.
The two artists that really, got to the peak were Ashanti and Ja.
Now, I spoke about this more in depth in my What Happened to Vita video, but for those of you that don't know, Irv built Murder Inc. around Ja Rule. When Ja's first album dropped, Ja became well known in the US. It was cool, but when his second album dropped, Murder Inc. became internationally known. Murder Inc. was everywhere, magazines, television, you name it. Ja put Murder Inc. on the map, and Ashanti was next. Ja and Ashanti sold a lot of records, but in doing so, they took most of the attention away from the other artists on Murder Inc. I just felt like, damn, why isn't my album coming out? I did some singles that were hot, but Irv was working with Ja. Charli believes Irv and Ashanti's relationship did not interfere with her album rollout. Ashanti's success did, and by the time Charli's project was ready to come out, Murder Inc. started to lose momentum. I don't think it was Ashanti in particular. I think Ashanti's record sales and the fact that he had her popping and Ja popping, Murder Inc. was just popping at the time as a whole. It was more of Irv's problem. It was a great idea, and unfortunately, my project was up next, and that's when everything started falling apart. As we all got to find out, 50 and the Feds put an end to Murder Inc. At the time, 50 had Ja Rule's throne in sight. He released a barrage of diss tracks at Ja and even dissed Charli Baltimore a couple of times.
Charli Baltimore, bitch look like she died last week, pale as fuck.
At first, Irv and Ja tried to ignore 50. They were on television and they were doing their thing in the music business. Beefing with 50 was probably the last thing on their mind. However, all of that quickly changed when 50 got signed to Eminem and Dr. Dre. 50 became too big to ignore, but by the time Irv decided to take 50 seriously, it was too late. 50 and them was fucking with me during the Murder Inc. shit, so I never was able to say anything back at them because Irv would shut me down every time. I ain't never been no bitch or punk. Clearly, Charli couldn't wait to diss 50. I mean, why wouldn't she? 50 wasn't gonna stop dissing Murder Inc. However, in this case, she had no choice but to listen to her boss. My prior situation with Irv didn't allow me to say anything, which I thought was a big mistake. I was like, yo, I don't really think we should be sitting here letting somebody just ride on us like this. That was crazy to me. Charli recorded a diss track towards 50 on her unreleased Murder Inc. album called The Diary.
Curtis, snitch ass nigga. Tell your flunkies keep my fucking name out their mouth. Tell them niggas to go tie your shoelaces or something.
However, since the album didn't come out, not that many people got to hear the track. Like I mentioned earlier, the Ja Rule and 50 Cent beef is one reason Murder Inc. fell. The FBI is another. Now, I spoke about this more in my What Happened to Jadakiss and 50 Cent video, so if you guys want more information about that, be sure to check that video out. I'm not gonna bore you guys with the details here. Now, according to Charli, the Feds and 50 Cent wasn't Murder Inc.'s biggest problem. The real problem was Irv Gotti. During an interview with allhiphop.com, Charli speaks about the reasons why her album didn't come out on Murder Inc. Allegedly, money was taken away from her album budget and used on other things. More specifically, Irv Gotti used it to get high. Now, as far as the artists on Murder Inc., I have no problem with them. I got along with everybody, and I felt like I had finally found a recording home. I signed to Murder Inc. because I was impressed with Irv's industry track record and his work ethic. He was an underdog, and for him to be as visionary as he is, to mess all of that up on $8,000 a week ecstasy habits and Vegas crap tables, I can't understand it. You already have money, why did you have to steal my budget? After Irv used up the budget for Charli's album, Def Jam gave him more money to use on Charli. However, Irv allegedly used that money as well. At the time, Charli's album was completely done. Irv was pleased with it and even made claims that he would promote it. In Charli's eyes, it was all systems go, but in the end, Irv didn't pull through. Charli blames Irv for the way her situation at Murder Inc. turned out. Def Jam even reforecasted a new budget for another album, and Irv stole that money. Irv can say what he likes. My album was done. He even admitted that to me, that I put as much work as I needed into this album for it to be a success. He just allowed himself to be distracted by other things and let shit fall apart. In my opinion, Charli had every right to be upset. She spent a lot of time in the studio and her fans were eagerly waiting for her album. Not only that, She already went through a bad situation with her first label, and her deal with Murder Inc. was supposed to be the light at the end of the tunnel. After years of being viewed as Biggie's side piece, Charli was about to drop an album. However, despite her best efforts, she lost all of her dreams to Irv's vices. If I were Charli, I would be upset too. After Charli left Murder Inc., she became an unofficial member of the game's Black Wall Street.
You know, I was with Black Wall Street for a while.
Get out of God damn, you went to every enemy and shit, huh?
She was never officially signed to the label. However, during that time, Charli recorded more diss tracks aimed at 50 Cent. Luckily, Charli's time at Black Wall Street was brief. After she left the label, she re-signed with Murder Inc. in 2008, somewhere around there, and she was supposed to release a project called True Lies, but again, the album never came out.
Right now, though, I'm doing some things back with Murder Inc. So we in the Murder Inc. studios, getting it in, getting some work done.
Now for some drama. In 2009, the movie Notorious came out. The release of the movie had people talking, and Charli had scathing words for Lil Kim. She started off by talking about her relationship with Faith Evans. As mentioned earlier, Big, Kim, Charli, and Faith were involved in a love triangle. Faith was the main. She was married to Big. However, the pair separated at one point. Charli was the new girl in Big's life, and Kim was the homie that Big used to kick it with. After Big died, Charli called Faith to offer her condolences, and the pair had a respectful conversation. Me and Faith had words, and we definitely had our little moments, but we never had any physical altercations. There wasn't anything totally disrespectful. When Big passed, I called Faith and gave my condolences to her children because I thought that was the right thing to do. She knew about me, and I knew that Big still had feelings for her. They were going through a separation, a divorce. While Charli and Faith were able to gain mutual respect,
We never had any beef. It's just, you know, people misconstrue things and make things what they want to make it. But she's an absolute sweetheart.
and be cordial with each other. Charli's relationship with Kim is another story. Charli believes that Kim should not call herself Big's girl. She believes Kim was merely a side piece that benefited from her relationship with Big. Kim goes out of her way to say she was Big's girl. No, Kim wasn't his girl. Straight up, she was not. She benefited from the situation because she became Lil Kim. She has a career, and she's grateful to him for helping her in that aspect. But she was never his girl. Big and I were together. He bought me a car. To add insult to injury, Charli has brought Lil Kim's pen game into question by accusing her of not writing her raps. Kim seems to be indifferent about the whole situation, and when questioned about Charli, Kim responded by saying, "Who?" dismissing the existence of Charli altogether. Obviously, Kim had a personal issue with Charli.
Where are we going?
Also, Kim dissed Charli on the Quiet Storm remix.
I'm a leader. Yeah, I'm some following shit. Coming in this game on some modeling shit.
It appears Kim doesn't talk about Charli Baltimore publicly. Maybe she feels like she's above the situation and wants to move on. Maybe she feels like Charli isn't worth her time. Who knows? The tension between Charli and Kim seems to be a little bit one-sided. Charli has spoken about Kim on multiple occasions, whereas Kim isn't really talking about Charli. In 2016, Charli Baltimore was involved in another car crash. For those of you that don't know, Charli, Big, and Lil Cease were involved in a car crash in 1996. Big's left leg got shattered. He was hospitalized for approximately 3 months, and medical professionals told him that he may never walk again.
And it was me, Big, and Charli Baltimore that was in the car.
Big wasn't the only one affected by the car crash. Charli almost lost her life as well.
The whole top of my head actually have stitches that go probably from here to here. So a few more inches would have been my whole face cut open.
Unfortunately for Charli, history almost repeated itself in 2016. Charli was driving back home from her niece's birthday party when she fell asleep at the wheel and crashed her Merc. From her niece's birthday party to Hahnemann Hospital, mild concussion, banged up eye, and cuts and bruises. Hashtag God was with me. People, holidays can be a stressful time. Be sure to have your blood sugar checked, especially if you're a diabetic, which I'm not. But I passed out behind the wheel, blood sugar dropped, and woke up in the wreckage. Hashtag bye bye Benz. Hashtag you were a good girl for the most part. In conclusion, after Charli left Murder Inc., she remained very relevant. She has dropped a lot of singles and mixtapes since then, and lately appears to be taking her talents to reality TV. Charli, along with her kids, are on a show called Love and Hip Hop. Growing Up Hip Hop, alongside Irv and Ja Rule.
Me and Irv had a whole bunch of problems. Our relationship was terrible.
It seems like reality TV is the move for Charli. In 2018, Charli, along with her 2 daughters, appeared on a show called Charli Knows Best. The entire show was released in binge format on Gossip.com. It's a short watch. It focuses on Charli's life as she maneuvers through hip-hop and the entertainment industry, and her kids India and Tiffany Lane as they learn how to do the same. As far as Charli's social media goes, she's very active. Her Instagram page has about 220,000 followers. Her Spotify page gets about 80,000 monthly listeners, and her most popular songs on the platform are Down For You, Money, Stand Up, and Come Test Us featuring Lil Wayne. Some people say that the only reason Charli's career took off is because she dated Biggie. This could be true. If Charli didn't meet Big, her career in the music industry might be non-existent today. But what's the point of talking about what could have been? The fact is, Charli is here. She wasn't able to drop an official studio album, but she kept her fan base fed by dropping a lot of content. Charli never stopped hustling, and that itself is something to be proud of.
My name is Thurston Howell III. You know.
And I'm Lovey Howell.
Hey.
That's it for me, man. It's your boy Ali. What happened to Charli Baltimore in your opinion? Let me know down below. Also, if you have any video requests, be sure to let me know as well. Peace. What up guys, it's your boy Ali, and welcome to Hip Hop Forever.